There's a clip of Anthony Edwards from All-Star Weekend saying that he's not interested in being the face of the league. And there's the whole conversation about who's going to take that mantle next.
Tell the truth.
Tell the
Just tell
truth.
the truth. You can
I
and will
yeah.
be that guy.
Well, I'm capable of being
There
that
you
guy,
go.
but I don't I don't I don't want to be that guy. Put it like that. I want to be the guy to just show up and hoop and just kill dudes and go home.
First of all, if Anthony Edwards, Brandon, were to somehow manufacture a championship, maybe even just a finals run in the next few years, he won't have a choice. It won't matter if he wants to be the face or not. It'll be him because his talent on the floor, his marketability, his personality, it's all there. He might have some things to clean up with his country self and the way he speaks to former presidents, but that's a different thing. But I love it though. I love his personality. I think it's natural. I think it's raw. I think it's great. I think you should feed into that because seems like a good young dude. Like, doesn't seem like wild or reckless or anything. He's just himself. And he's hilarious. So I just think that would be if he were, especially in Minnesota, if he did something special in Minnesota, he wouldn't have a choice. We would start talking about him in that way. But my thing is, Brandon, when does the Minnesota curse kick in? Because I haven't looked at his contract or how much longer he has, but I would bet money that a championship won't come to Minnesota anytime soon. And eventually we're going to be talking about where should Anthony Edwards go in free agency, or should they trade him, or what other star should he team up with? Because he's going to be one of the next dominoes to fall.
Did you hear me?
Did you? I think I saw your lips move. What did I see? Phoenix.
The Knicks.
Oh, I'm mad you beat me to it. That was in my that was in my mind as a premier shooting guard. When's the last time the Knicks had a? I'm just thinking of like just as shooting guard perspective. That would be perfect.
That's all I'm saying about that. So, I, a mentee of mine, my boy Josh Hicks out of Chicago, he wouldn't mind me saying this. He and I were texting during All Star, and he sent me a text and he said, I'm thinking Wemby was going to be he goes, the league really needs to start prepping for whoever to take that next spot as the face of the league. And I said, they have. I said, Luka and Wemby could ultimately be the next LeBron and KD. I said, Wemby met with Adam Silver for dinner the night before the draft, and they talked in depth about their plans and Wemby's plans for just the future. And the conversation of being the face of the league came up. And Josh said to me, Luka Wemby is a great Bron KD replacement, though. Wemby seems like a guy who would love that challenge. And I said, Anthony Edwards will also be in the conversation. This is Sunday during the All Star game because we weren't watching the game, so we were texting. And he says, and when I said Anthony Edwards will be in the conversation, he said, I honestly hope it is him, but I don't know if he really wants it like that and will be put into shaping him into that way. I said, Ja is also still there, Tatum, Brown, Brunson as well. I said it can change. Look at Cat. He was supposed to be in that position that he is in now. And I said, matter of perspective. In 2024, we are in the spot we were in 10 years ago. Look at the All-Star roster from the 2014 All-Star game and look at how much has changed since. 2014 All-Star game had LeBron, Carmelo Anthony, Joakim Noah, Dwight Howard, Joe Johnson as headliners. KD, Harden, Kyrie, Steph were next up. 10 years later, they're about to pass the baton. Think about that. In 2014, Steph Curry was in the All Star game. A year later, he won a championship. A couple years later, um, KD joined him in Golden State. Harden left Houston, went to Brooklyn with Kyrie. Kyrie won a championship in 2016 with the Cavs with LeBron because later that year in 2014, LeBron came back to Cleveland. Couple years later, Kyrie found his way out of Cleveland because he knew LeBron was not staying in Cleveland and he was going to the Lakers. And ultimately, he went to the Lakers, and then Kyrie went to Brooklyn and started his own thing with Kevin. 2014, those guys were on the come up. We're in the same position we're in 2025 that we were in 2014.
Right. And so when you look at these guys, Wemby they got him Chris Paul, which was that's a great gift for him even at this stage in his career. Now he's got De'Aaron Fox.
Yes,
Now he's got De'Aaron Fox.
because
Luca,
De'Aaron Fox
Luke,
is going to replace Chris Paul in the next year or two in San Antonio.
absolutely, and that's the idea. I mean, they just got you a running mate. So I'm bringing this back to Anthony Edwards. Shea is in a great position in OKC. He's got the best roster out of all of them. He's perfectly fine. He doesn't need a super team. He's great. They're like the OKC before they let go of KD, Harden, and Russ, and I don't think they're gonna mess that up again. They're gonna be fine. He's in a great situation. Luca, they were shuffling through. They got him Kyrie Irving. They got Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving. So
Yeah,
I'm looking at Anthony Edwards. I'm looking at Trae Young and Atlanta. And I hate to put it this way because I'm not just saying every star needs to team up and needs to be on a super team, but we've been in this era for over a decade now where stars move, they get tired of carrying the load of the franchise. Anthony Edwards has now had a chance to play with Team USA. He's had a chance to play alongside Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, all the other great players in the league, Devin Booker. So now he's got a taste of that. How long until he gets tired of having to play with Rudy
Joel Embiid,
Gobert every week? Like I'm
Joel,
telling you, bro, it's not sustainable.
Joel Embiid thought that that's what he was doing this past summer, there's a maturity in being around your peers while still also being the man that is your current team. And Anthony Edwards has done that in his own way. And I think part of it is because he's not in the Northeast market like Joel Embiid, where everything is magnified. But I also do think that there is a benefit in that. I've been big on both the Thunder and the Timberwolves for some time, for the last few years. And the thing that both those teams have is just um, exclusivity playing in a college like town and not being in under the microscope in a New York or Philly. For Anthony Edwards, whether that is, coming home to an Atlanta, whether that is playing for the New York Knicks, whether that is, a San Antonio or wherever, I think it's going to come down to fit and not holding people to a standard of what you want, which is what I said about Luka Doncic and not following the path of Dirk Nowitzki. I think even with Minnesota, we've seen iterations of the Timberwolves over the years in '96 with Kevin Garnett and Stephon Marbury and Tom Gugliotta and some of those other guys. Money didn't and just conflict ultimately had Stephon request a trade to play for the New Jersey Nets, and then Garnett staying just enough time to leave to go to Boston. We've seen that even with Cat, I think, leaving similarly like Kevin Garnett. Like we see these themes over and over again, and they replicate themselves. We've seen it with the Nets. We saw the Nets compete in '98 with the Bulls with Kendall Gill and Sam Cassell and those guys, and being on the cover of Slam magazine and then not get it done. And then we saw it again with Jay Kidd and Kenyon and Kerry Kittles and not getting it done against the Lakers and the Spurs. And then you saw it again with, Kyrie and Kevin. Like you had two of the best guys in the league that are still buzzing in the league, and they weren't able to do it. So it's like you wonder if these things continue to replicate themselves. Will the Chicago Bulls continue to be ringless without Michael Jordan? It's like some of these things they replicate themselves. And so when you look at
Yeah.
the Edwards, I think there is truth to what you said. Like at what point do I look elsewhere? It's not today, it's not tomorrow, but it's also going to depend on what Minnesota adds to their roster in the future.